Hi, welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Nursing Queen.
Nursing Queen.
Nursing Queen is a designer of awesome nursing wear, cool, awesome, stylish nursing wear with hidden zippers. Great for nursing and pumping. And we will hear more from our sponsor later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, check out our sponsor page, and see if you can give any of them your business if you need anything, because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, you can scroll down and enter your email address, and we'll send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we are on Patreon, and you can head to the link at the top of the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from, to see if any of those tiers featuring original content like mini podcasts, extra ad-free episodes, and our monthly Zoom hangouts, see if any of those look good to you. And we hope to see you there. And we are still hosting our ongoing giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet, such as iTunes or Spotify. Just take a screenshot, send it to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com, and we will send you a goodie bag of thank you for nursing in public cards and podcast stickers, fun things. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
Yeah, this is a good one. You're going to like it.
Oh.
I've been exclusively breastfeeding for 11 months now. My original goal was to get to May of next year, 16 months, to get through cold and flu season, but I so love the quiet moments and connection it gives me with my normally squirming child and the health benefits that I've changed my goal to 2 years. I found this podcast early on in my breastfeeding journey when I was honestly looking for support about sleep. I look forward every week to listening because it has not only given me support in my journey, but has taught me so much. I've learned to trust my mom instincts so much because I know and have seen how beneficial it is to breastfeed my child. My 11-month-old recently had her first fever illness. I knew that breastfeeding and lots of contact naps and sleep was the best medicine I could give. However, the second night she broke out in a fever again and started having jolts or startling when she was starting to fall asleep. I decided to call my doctor's office and spoke to the nurse on call. Because my daughter's fever was 99.7, I was told she didn't have a fever. 100.4 is a fever, apparently, even though she felt like she was literally on fire, plus all the other symptoms of being sick. This nurse told me that because we co-sleep, I was probably causing her to overheat and likened it to sleeping with her dog and how hot she gets with the dog in the bed.
Oh, my God.
I credit this podcast.
Oh, my God.
I credit this podcast for helping me ignore this advice, take on my daughter's illness, especially since I know and experience that doing skin to skin with my daughter helped break her fever and regulate her temperature. Thank you for giving me confidence in my mom instincts. I hope advice like the one I got from this nurse doesn't deter others from doing what they know is best for their child.
Wow. What an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, my God.
Yeah, I figured you would like that.
That's
the same as
rough,
sleeping
man.
with your dog.
Yeah, obviously. It's the same thing.
How crazy.
I just wish people would shut up. Just stop talking.
I know.
I mean, she has no idea what she's saying, and she's just saying random stuff.
Like, she called to find out how to help her baby who is sick with a fever. Don't tell her that it's her fault for co-sleeping because now her baby's too hot. That's not a good answer. Yeah.
I mean, co-sleeping does not cause a fever.
No.
That's insane.
And the other thing that I don't really like about this either is that the nurse is kind of putting down the mother's own skill to know what her baby is going through.
Yeah.
Like, she's telling her, no, she doesn't really have a fever. She's just hot because you co-sleep with her.
What the hell? Did she call the right number? Maybe she called like a nail salon or something, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, I'll help you." Maybe.
Oh my
God! Like, hold on, did I get the right number here? Ugh.
Crazy.
People are so dumb.
Yeah,
I can't stand it.
listen to your instincts. Like she was saying, because your instincts are there and they're right on. You know your baby better than anybody else does. And that is really an important thing to remember. You know your baby best.
Yeah.
And she did do the right thing. She did some skin to skin with her baby, broke the fever, regulated her temperature, helped her feel better, lots of breastfeeding for hydration. And we were just talking about illnesses on the last episode that about holidays and illness. And we talked about, a lot of different things that have to do with illness there too. And that's the best stuff you can do is just give your baby your breast milk. That's the best thing you can do for them. Just nurse them as much as you can. And, and a lot of I've heard a lot of people say, same thing that she said, I just want to nurse them to get through the next cold and flu season. Just want to nurse one more season to get through the cold and flu. Because it does really make a difference, the breast milk. It really does. It makes a huge difference.
Totally.
Yeah. So, just keep breastfeeding them. And if you get really bad advice from somebody at your doctor's office, just chalk it up to really bad advice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If somebody compares you to a dog or your baby to a dog, then you can just know, oh, this person probably doesn't know what they're talking about.
I can't believe that.
Ugh, that's so annoying.
Yeah. But today we're going to talk about what causes sore nipples and what to do about it. And we haven't talked about things like this in a while. So I definitely wanted to kind of revisit it again because I think sometimes stuff happens, especially when you're first starting out with breastfeeding and you might feel sore and you just don't know what is causing it. What is happening? Why are my nipples so sore? Why am I not feeling right? Why is it painful to breastfeed? Now, first of all, you should not have pain with breastfeeding. That's the first thing to remember.
Mm-hmm.
That if you are having pain, that something is going on. And it could just be a positioning thing that we need to fix. And then everything is better. But definitely contact a lactation consultant. Don't wait. Don't go, oh, it's sore right now. It'll be better in a couple weeks. Don't let people, because this is one thing with breastfeeding that I hear all the time, that people are told, oh yeah, you're breastfeeding, you're going to be sore for a couple weeks until your nipples toughen up, and then you're going to be fine. Nipples don't toughen up. That is not a thing.
No.
Breastfeeding is something that should not be painful. If you are having lots of pain with it, then something is wrong and we need to fix it. And that happens. It's common. So contact a lactation consultant or use episodes like this to kind of, I'm always going to tell you to contact a lactation consultant, but you can kind of do a little bit of triaging and seeing, and then you can say to the lactation consultant, I think this is what's going on. And that's helpful. So what can happen is when you're breastfeeding, what is normal, what we call normal soreness, is the baby latches on. This could be happening in the first week or so. The baby latches on. You have a little bit of soreness, a little bit of tenderness that lasts for maybe 30 seconds. And then you should not feel anything. It should be comfortable. You should feel just the pull or the tugging of the baby nursing, which might feel weird. That's okay. You'll get used to that. But it shouldn't be painful after that first initial 30 seconds. If you have pain that lasts throughout the feeding, that is when we say, okay, there's something going on that we need to fix. There's something happening here. So sometimes it is just what causes sore nipples. So sometimes it's just the positioning of the baby. And we need to adjust the positioning of the baby. We need to make sure that we're looking at the latch. And we do have episodes on latching, but to kind of recap that, we want to make sure that the baby that you've got really good support for the baby. Remember now, babies can't support their own weight, right? So you need to support the weight of the breast for them. So holding onto the breast while they're latching. And you might have to, depending on whether your baby, like the size of your breast, you might have to hold the breast for them while they are feeding. That is really normal in the early days. And that's because babies can't support the weight of the breast. And if you let go, sometimes that latch becomes more shallow. So you want the baby to be in a position where they are nose to nipple with you, where they can open nice and wide and take a good mouthful of the breast. That is really important. Compressing the breast a little bit so that the baby can get a good mouthful of breast is important. We want to make sure that latch is good and deep. And if you feel like it's shallow, like what that feels like is if the nipple is kind of being compressed against the hard palate of the baby's mouth. And you'll feel that. Like it'll not feel good. And you'll know like the baby is shallow. Once the baby's on more deeply, the latch is deeper, the baby will draw the nipple all the way back to the soft palate where you will not feel that crunching, just flattening of your nipple. So I know Abby doesn't like that. Abby has to have a mammogram tomorrow. So now we're just all talking about flattened nipples. So that's not good.
I'd rather be breastfeeding. Oh, ooh, that's a shirt.
Oh, yeah. There you go. So make sure that baby is in a good position. If you feel like the baby is on shallow, you're feeling that, that pinchiness of the baby compressing the nipple against the hard palate, you want to take them off. Don't just feed because the baby's on and it took a minute to get them on and you just want to feed and get it over with. Don't feed through pain because that is how you're going to damage that nipple tissue. So you want to take them off and we want to start over. Sometimes that can include like switching positions. If you have the baby like in a cross cradle position across the front of you, maybe you want to try a laid back position instead. Maybe you want to try a football position where the baby's on the side of your body. You can switch it up too to see if that helps. Sometimes that can help make things a little bit better. Switch breasts, maybe. That can sometimes help to kind of shake things up and get that latch a little bit better. Now, if your nipples if you're getting that soreness and it's not getting better, no matter what position you put your baby in, no matter what you are doing and it feels shallow and it's not, it's painful. You're getting pinchy, you're getting, cracks in your nipples, you're getting damaged nipples, you're getting that flattened nipple when the baby comes off the breast after feeding. You definitely want to look into things like tongue ties because that will cause the same problem. But if you try to fix it, let's see if I can explain this the right way. A lot of times with a bad latch, you can fix that by just correcting the latch, making sure the baby's well positioned, making sure you have good support, putting the baby in a position that they're comfortable in. That can often just fix your latch. And then you're like, okay, everything's fixed. Everything feels better. But if it's a situation with like a tongue tie, it's probably not going to feel better regardless of the position you put the baby in. So, because that tongue tie is still going to be there. So the reason why the tongue ties cause a problem with the latch is because the baby isn't able, that tongue is restricted. The tongue muscle is restricted and the baby is not able to draw the nipple back into their mouth far enough because of that restricted tongue muscle. So you want to get as comfortable as you possibly can. If that's the situation, if it's just not getting better, definitely contact a lactation consultant so they can see it. What is going on? Is it a situation with a tongue tie? Because that is something that's going to cause a problem. Now, not every tongue tie is going to cause a problem with a latch. And if your baby has an obvious tie and you're not having a latch problem, then it's probably not a tongue tie. You know what I mean? Like a tongue tie is when there's actually problems with the functionality of the tongue. If your baby has that membrane under their tongue is very visible, but it's not causing any problems, then we're not going to call that a tongue tie. So we just have to wait and see, like, is there going to be problems with the latch? Are you having pain? Because that's one of the biggest issues with tongue ties is the painful breastfeeding. So if it's a problem with the painful breastfeeding, the baby's compressing, then you want to see, like, is this a tongue tie situation? And what do we do about it? That can be really difficult, like, because a lot of people just don't feel comfortable getting things done about it. Some people, it's, it can be a more difficult fix to try to fix it, but it is really important to have comfortable breastfeeding. So if it's a situation where the tongue tie is causing it, then definitely consider what your options are for breastfeeding with a tongue tie. Now, other things that can cause it is Raynaud's phenomenon. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
That's something we don't talk about much.
No.
Yeah.
We really don't. I think
we don't talk about that.
I had a friend who was dealing with that. Is it how common is it?
So it depends. So it's not as common. It really isn't. But what Raynaud's phenomenon is where, let's see if I can explain this the right way. It's where the vasoconstriction of the nipple, because the breast is highly vascular. And the nipple, if you have Raynaud's or vasospasm, is the same type of thing, then like the breast, it's like nerve pain in the breast, in the nipple, which causes like a nerve pain because of the vasoconstriction of the nipple. So you can breastfeed. You might not feel anything when the baby's breastfeeding. It might feel fine. But then after the baby comes off the breast, you might notice that the nipple turns color. It could turn like white. And that is because the blood is it's like kind of coming back into the nipple. And it causes a nerve pain reaction. So it can cause like a burning pain, and it can be really painful. So things that can cause it is that like vasospasm. Sometimes people have Raynaud's like in their fingertips, and when it's really cold out, they get it in their fingers. And then Raynaud's can be more prominent with the breast in the cold weather. So you might feel more of that painful burning sensation during the cold weather. Like if you live in a cold climate, you might feel it more then. You might feel it from if there has been a lot of damage to the nipple, you might get it. So if you've gone through a lot of latch problems and there's been a lot of like compression of the nipple and a lot of damage to the nipple, that can cause a vasospasm type reaction. And what you're feeling, like I said, you're feeling like a burning pain, and it can almost like radiate through the breast, and it can be very, very painful. So what you can do for that is, if that's what's causing it, or if you think that's what's causing your pain, it might happen on one breast, it might happen on both, depending on the situation. But it can be caused also by medication. If you're taking a certain medication, like if you're taking like a blood pressure medication, can cause it as well. So you want to like give that some consideration. If you're having these feelings and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm on this medication, it could be from something like that too. So what you can do for it, heat is the best thing for it. A dry heat. Cold will make it worse. So you want to put a dry heat on the nipple as soon as the baby comes off the breast. So you want to do like a heating pad or a rice sock or something like that. Sometimes people have like anything that's warm, anything that's warm that can go over the breast. A breast pad that might be a little bit warm. That can help, just kind of bring the blood flow back into the nipple gradually without it being painful. So do the dry heat afterwards. One of the other things that you can try to do too, or that you can do with it, is you can take B complex vitamins, because B complex vitamins help with for nerve health.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take B complex vitamins and see if that helps you. If it's really severe, they do have a medication that you can, that they can put you on. It's called nifedipine, and that can help. But it can be really painful. It really can. It can be very painful. And even sometimes the latch, even after, if it was caused by bad latch and it was caused by a lot of nipple damage, even once you fix it, sometimes the latch looks great and it's better, and you fix the latch and you fix the positioning and all of that is good, but you're still having this vasospasm problem or this Raynaud's, then it's so frustrating, because it can be very painful. Now, it can also be misdiagnosed as well. And
should we take a break and then talk about that?
Yes, we should. I totally lost track of time.
That's okay. We'll be right back. Dianne has so much more to tell us. Today's episode is brought to you by Nursing Queen. This brand is a game changer for breastfeeding moms, making life so much easier when you're traveling for the holidays, out and about running errands, or pumping at work. Their tops and dresses are designed with hidden access for nursing and pumping. Forget trying to lift up your entire shirt or completely undress to feed. Their sweatshirts are perfect for the cooler weather. And as you know, Dianne and I love their sweatshirts. Mm-hmm. All of their orders are designed and packed and shipped from their warehouse outside of Tampa, Florida. They just dropped some new styles for winter. So go check out what they've got. Pick out your outfit for the holidays, because they do have some fun, dressy things that you can wear and look super fun and cute at the same time as being very functional. You can find them at nursingqueen.com and use code BADASS for 10% off of your order. The link and the promo code will be in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. You can also find our sponsors at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, along with all of our other episodes and our favorite resources page, and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
Yeah. So we were talking about Raynaud's, and they misdiagnose it a lot. So it is often confused with thrush because of the burning pain. Yeah, because of the burning. So sometimes I've had people come to me and be like, I've been on medication for thrush for a month and it's not getting better. And it's like, well, then it's not thrush, because you don't have, plus thrush is not common. So it is, but the minute you call your OB or your doctor and you say, I'm having this burning pain at the breast, they're going to put you on they usually just put you on a medication for thrush. But usually it is vasospasm or Raynaud's. So you definitely want to look, is the nipple turning white? Are you having that burning pain? It's like a sharp burning pain. And were you, was there something else going on? Did you have some trauma to the nipple? Sometimes it can be like trauma to from the previous baby even. And I know that's, very sad to hear, but if you had it the first time, you might have it the second time. So just kind of keep it in mind. B complex vitamins are really good. Magnesium is another thing that I've heard helps a lot. And heat. So making sure that you're putting something warm on the nipple as the blood flow is coming back into the nipple. So really important to stay comfortable with that. Other things that can really impact your nipple soreness is pumping. That is just something that if you're doing a lot of pumping, if you're pumping and breastfeeding, a lot of times people are like, I don't know what's causing my nipple pain. Is it the breastfeeding? Is it the pumping? It very well could be pumping that is causing the nipple pain, because pumping, it can really exacerbate nipple pain and soreness, and it can be the reason behind it as well. So what you want to do with that is really do a whole deep dive into what is going on with my pumping. Is the flange size correct? Now, sometimes people say, well, they measured me in the hospital and I measured at a 17. Okay, great. Then you have to get a 17 flange. Make sure you have the right size flange. You know if it's not the right size, if your nipple is being squished into the flange, into the tunnel of the flange, it's too small. If it's uncomfortable, if it's causing you pain, if it's causing like a lot of like different color to the nipple's turning purple, it could be the wrong size flange. Even if they measured you, that is not always a for sure thing, because nipple size changes, especially if they measured you in the hospital before your milk came in. It could be that nipple size is going to change after your milk came in. So you might want to just kind of keep that in mind, that even though they measured you for a certain, you might have to remeasure and see, like, is this really the right size? If it's too big, you're also going to have a problem, because if that flange is too big, then it's going to bring in too much of that breast tissue, too much areola into the tunnel. And that is not going to be a comfortable pumping experience for you either. So you definitely want to make sure that flange is the right size. This is something that, like, when I first started with lactation, we didn't even know that like flange size was a thing.
Oh, wow.
Like, this is something that's just, I feel like, has really become more prominent, and just we've become so much more aware over the last several years. So this can be like a game changer, and you're getting better milk output when your flange is the right size. So that is also something that's very important, to make sure that your flange is the right size, not just for comfort, but to just get as much milk as you possibly can out of your pumping experience. Now, the other thing that can add into that is where your settings are on your pump. Now, everybody says, like, and I know that you can look online, because people have told me, like, oh, they have online this whole schedule of how to use my pump and what to put my pump on, and what settings the pump should be at to get the most milk output. But you want to be sure that you're comfortable. And if it's not comfortable, if it feels like it's too high, then turn it down. It doesn't matter if that's not the setting that they recommend on Instagram. You want to have, or on TikTok, or wherever you're happening to look. You want to make sure that you're comfortable. That is the most important thing, because that, again, is going to impact how much milk you get out. I've had people turn it all the way up because they thought they could get more milk that way. All that's going to do is make your nipples sore and damage your breast tissue. So you want to be sure that you are keeping your pump where you are comfortable. Put it up, just especially when you're first starting out, you're going to have it low. So follow your body's cues and keep it where you are comfortable. I can't even stress that enough.
Yeah.
If you are experiencing nipple pain, things that you can do for it, or if there's damage to the nipple, your breast milk is very healing. So you can just rub some breast milk on the wound itself, and that will help it. Some people really like to use the nipple creams. Be careful with that. The more ingredients in your nipple cream, the higher the likelihood that you could develop some kind of reaction, like an allergic reaction or a rash or something like that around the nipple. So really be cautious. Make sure you're using something that's very simple. There have been research on things like like positive research for things like olive oil or, like I know some people like to use coconut oil, breast milk. It doesn't have to be something like a nipple butter that costs a lot of money. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. If there is damage like cracking and bleeding, I recommend milk for that and fixing that latch or identifying whatever the problem is and fixing it. It's okay to breastfeed on a nipple that is got damage to it if you fix the latch, because the nipple is going to heal pretty quickly, but you got to fix the latch. So once the latch is fixed, then you can still breastfeed on that nipple while it heals. It's totally safe. It's totally fine. Other things that you can do for it, there's, hydrogel pads can be really helpful. Those are really good for healing, but definitely don't use them if there's an infection. So you want to be cautious about that. And like I said, the nipples will heal pretty quickly if you are, if you're not redamaging them. You want to make sure that you are getting help for any kind of latch issue that you have. Like I said, this is really helpful. This kind of an episode is really helpful for you to kind of identify, okay, this is what's causing my breast problem or my nipple pain. So then you can get the help that you need for it, but don't suffer through it. Don't just go, oh, it'll be better in a couple weeks. Don't just kind of assume that it's going to get better on its own, because it might not. And you don't want this to get in, kind of interfere with your breastfeeding relationship. It can really cause you to not want to breastfeed when you have pain.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason why people stop, right? Because it hurts and they don't know why. And yeah, it's like, why would I keep doing this? This is awful.
Right. And And people would, it can cause depression. It can cause, like all sorts of stuff when you have pain like that. So we want to make sure that we're kind of helping you get into a better place. So get the help as soon as you possibly can. And don't let anybody tell you, oh yeah, it's normal, because it's not. You should not have pain that lasts throughout the feeding. You should not get nipple damage. You should not have any of that stuff happening. So you definitely want to get the help for it. And that's it.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.